In today's video, I'm gonna respond to one of the questions I got in one of my last videos where I reviewed my 6-month experience of living in Dubai. I had a viewer ask me, how does Freezone company works? How does Mainland companies work? How did you, Rasmus, transition from having a Danish company to having a Dubai company? How does VAT, income tax, how does all of that work, right? So I thought I might make a pretty interesting video. So today I'm basically just gonna respond to a couple of the questions I got in that video. Obviously, if you just research a little bit about Dubai, you know that a lot of people like to say that Dubai is a great spot to be in if you make a lot of money because, everything is tax-free. So in this video, I'm just gonna kind of give you the broad overview of how things operate and how things are structured. So if you actually decide to move here and open your own business, you kind of know what to expect and sort of how things operate. Also, obviously, this is not financial advice. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I am simply just a guy who opened his own business here in Dubai and live here full time. Also, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Rasmus. I'm the owner of Minix, a performance marketing agency where we specialize in helping e-commerce brands scale through UGC videos and paid advertising. Lastly, before we get into the video, I just want to say if you end up liking this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. That will massively help me out. Also, if you have any questions after watching this video, make sure to leave them down below. I read all comments and I'm happy to help. But with that being said though, let's get into it. So first thing here, how did I make the transition from having a Danish company to having a Dubai company? And sort of how does that look like? So setting up a new company in Dubai is fairly easy. I have a video coming on Thursday about this where I'm basically just gonna walk you through everything regarding, setting up a company, getting a bank account and everything like that. But basically I got my company set up in Dubai and I just kind of let my Danish company die. So obviously we're a small company. I have 3 full-time employees and a couple freelancers working with me. So it's fairly easy in that sense, right? We have a few select clients that we work with. So for me, it was basically just letting the Danish company die, assign all the clients to the Dubai company, and then, setting up a new Stripe account. It's basically as simple as that. Obviously, there's some softwares I need to update in terms of billing and stuff like that, but yeah, it's fairly simple. Now, if you own an e-commerce brand, for example, or you have a lot of moving parts in your business, there's obviously gonna be a lot more friction when you do the change with like suppliers, warehouse, updating everything on your website with like terms of service and making sure that you're compliant. And there's probably gonna be just in general a lot more moving parts for you. But for me specifically, it was very easy, get the business set up, get my members ID, set up a bank account, and I'm pretty much ready to get going. I get an invoice from my employees every single month and I just pay that and pay them their salary and life goes on. So yeah, for me it was very, very simple. Now the second question here was Freezone or Mainland companies. What's the biggest difference and what should you sort of go for? So again, I'm not an expert on this and this is just my understanding from talking to a couple lawyers and accountants and also doing a little bit of my own research. But Mainland companies, primarily, that's something you want to go for if you decide to, or that you're going to be conducting business inside the UAE or inside Dubai, right? So let's say you're a plumber or a mechanic, something like that, right? Where basically a lot of your business is going to be done in Dubai. Then you want to go for a Mainland company. Basically, it's 2 different entities that you have to deal with. So when you set up your Freezone and when you set up your Mainland companies, it's not the same like legal or government entities you're going to be dealing with. Is 2 separate things. So that's when you want to go for a Mainland company. And obviously, when you have a Mainland company and you do business to people in Dubai, you're going to be having 5% VAT because there's a 5% VAT in Dubai, and you're going to be paying a 9% corporate tax on all profits. So that's like any other country in Europe or in the US. In the US, you have sales tax. In Europe, you have VAT, right? So whenever you do business inside your country, now I'm from Denmark. So if I did business with another business in Denmark with my Danish business, I would have to put on 25% VAT. Now, you can obviously get that reimbursed again from the government, but when you're dealing with the same country, you're going to be having to put on 5% VAT in Dubai. Now, Freezone companies, the biggest difference here is that they can only do business within specific zones in the UAE, and then they can do business with everyone outside of the UAE, right? Now, Mainland companies can also do business outside of UAE, but Freezone companies can only do business really outside of UAE. That's what they're intended to, basically. So with a Freezone company, you're going to be having 0% VAT that you need to apply, and you also have 0 corporate tax. Now, I think from what I've read, are going to be introducing a 9% corporate tax as well to Freezone companies, but only for the business that you actually do within the UAE. So that's sort of the gist gist of it with Freezone companies, that you just have a Freezone company because from my understanding, it's easier to manage and there's a little bit less in terms of regulations. Now, what I would actually recommend you do is you go to Wealthy Expat. He makes some amazing videos on all of this. So one of the advices he actually had was that if you know you're going to be doing business both inside the UAE and also outside of the UAE, then just have two different companies. Have a Freezone company for everything outside of the UAE and have a Mainland company for everything inside of the UAE. So then okay, everything that goes to this bank account, you have to pay 9% corporate tax on, and you have 5% VAT. And everything you have in the Freezone company, you have 0% corporate tax on, you have 0% VAT, and that you can just sort of do what you want with, right? But then you have to split up. It's nice and easy and simple to get an overview. Now, the second sort of difference, or third difference there really is that when you have a Mainland company, the majority shareholder needs to be a resident in the UAE. So if you're not planning on being a resident in the UAE, you cannot have majority shareholder control of that company. You can in a Freezone company. So if you decide to move your mechanic service or start a mechanic service or something in Dubai, you would have to have a friend or an Emirati or someone here. There's probably services for that if I know Dubai well enough, but you need to have someone who actually lives here full time to be a majority shareholder of your Mainland company. And that's not the case with Freezone. Now, let's just talk income tax here, because I specifically didn't talk about that in terms of Freezone and Mainland companies, because income taxes are still 0%. It's not going to change, at least not from my understanding in the near future. So even though you have a Mainland company and you pay 9% corporate tax on all your profits, it's on profits, right? At the end of your fiscal year. So let's say you make $1 million in profit, right? Now, instead of having to pay 9% corporate tax on it, which you would do if you have a Mainland company, you can just pull it all out of salary, because that's still 0%. And then you pay none of it. So what I think is that the corporate tax, the 9% corporate tax Dubai is introducing, they're doing it more so for publicity. And they're doing it to generally just boost their public image. Because mainstream media in the US and in Europe, now I can only talk for Denmark specifically, but like when I moved to Dubai, I told my bank, for example, hey, I'm moving to Dubai. They were very skeptical about that. And they were like, no, then you can't have an account with us. Because they just don't like Dubai having 0% taxes on everything. So what I think this is intended to do is not to harm the small business owner. Because if you make $1 million or $2 million or something, and you have a pretty simple business model, for example, like I do, it's very easy for me just to pull everything out in salary and then, completely circumvent the 9% corporate tax, which is completely legal. What it's intended to target is the billion-dollar corporations that can't just empty the bank account once or twice a year to avoid corporate tax. They just don't really care. Because they have such a big cash flow and they have so much money coming in and coming out, they're going to be paying a little bit of money to still be in Dubai, which I think they're going to be fine with. And Dubai can make a little bit of money on that, but they can also, more importantly, from what I think, is that they can look better in the public eye, and they can probably build better relationship with Europe and with the US. And hopefully that can kind of change some of the perceptions of being in Dubai, because it can have quite a bad rap outside of Dubai, So really, I think that's what their intention is. But yeah, if you're worrying about income tax, something like that, and it might be a little bit confusing reading online, there's 0% income taxes. So if you don't have a massive business where you need to hold a specific amount of cash or something like that, you can easily just take out all your money in income or distributions. It's fine. Nothing will happen. And if you own, let's say, an agency, just have a Freezone company. Just make sure you don't do business with anyone in the UAE and you'll be fine. Now, the last thing and last question here was, is Dubai really tax-free? And I want to say yes, but it's also a little bit of a no. And let me explain. So Dubai, you pay for everything, right? There's nothing free in Dubai. Every government service, everything you can really think about, you pay for. Now, you don't pay it as a direct tax, you pay it as a service fee. And that's how they can kind of call it a tax-free haven, because you don't explicitly pay any tax, you just pay a lot of hidden taxes. And so a good example would be DEWA. So DEWA is your water and electricity company. It's owned by the Dubai government. And here you actually pay, on top of your electricity and water, you pay a 5% housing fee. Now, it's not a tax, it's a fee, right? but it's a percentage. So that's why like it can be a little bit skewed. But you basically pay 5% of your annual rent to DEWA for them to, you know, fund cleaning up the streets, fight pollution, and a couple different services that they provide citizens. So, you know, that could in of itself be a tax, but it's classified as a fee. But yeah, no, like on paper, it is tax-free. There's just a lot of hidden fees that you probably wouldn't be thinking about. And also like you just pay for everything. But I guess that's sort of to be assumed when you move to a country where you pay 0% income tax, right? And still, there might be hidden taxes and there might be a lot of fees you have to pay, but it still doesn't outweigh, at least for me, paying plus 50% income tax as I did in Denmark and 22.5% corporate tax as I would do in Denmark. And also if I would take distributions in Denmark, that would be 40%. So for me, like, yeah, there might be a couple fees here and there that I might not know before moving here, but still it doesn't even come close to what I would be paying in Denmark. So yeah, it is tax-free, and if you live in a high tax country, you would have a much higher disposable income every single month, even though there might be hidden fees and internet might be more expensive and a couple different things. But yeah, that pretty much sums up today's video. I hope you found some value in it. Again, if you have any questions, make sure to leave them down below. I read all of them and try to respond to all questions. And if you like the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. I'll really appreciate that, and make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.